A source described as close to Meghan Markle now says the famous baby mama dance did not show a real moment from the day Lilibet was born. According to this account, the video was a joke, a playful recreation of a social media trend that online critics took too seriously. That explanation might work if the post had not opened with 4 years ago today, tied the clip to a story about overdue pregnancies, and later come up when Meghan spoke about authenticity. The issue is not simply whether the dance was staged. It is how the post encouraged people to understand it, and why those people are now being blamed for reaching that conclusion. Welcome back to Royal Receipts, where the claims can be explosive, but the public record gets the final word. First, Meghan has not appeared on camera and admitted that she deceived anyone. This new explanation comes from an unnamed source described as close to the Duchess. We do not know who that person is, what Meghan authorized them to say, or whether every part of the report came from her team. The available receipt does not support calling this a confirmed confession. The explanation still matters because it creates another problem. The source reportedly says the video parodied a social media trend and was never meant to provide a genuine look at a private family milestone. In that telling, critics confused comedy with reality, built a dramatic story around a piece of entertainment, and then blamed Meghan for an interpretation she never intended. But compare that account with the way the video entered the public conversation. Meghan's post reportedly began, 4 years ago today, this also happened. She said both children had been a week beyond their due dates and listed things expectant parents might try when labor has not started: spicy food, walking, acupuncture, and finally the dance. This was not an unrelated comedy caption attached to an obviously fictional sketch. It gave viewers a date, a pregnancy story, and a reason for what they saw on screen. The wording does leave a narrow escape route. Meghan did not explicitly say, "This footage was recorded during labor," or "This is the room where Lilibet was delivered." Most people do not read a social media post like lawyers looking for a sentence the author carefully avoided. They follow the context. 4 years ago today, an account of being overdue, and a video that appears to take place in a medical setting naturally lead viewers toward the same interpretation. Meghan later mentioned the dance in her conversation with Emma Grede while discussing authenticity and relatability. She did not describe it as a fictional skit that viewers had misunderstood. She used it as an example of being playful, accessible, and willing to share something personal. If the clip could support that public image, its original framing cannot be dismissed now that it has raised uncomfortable questions. The current defense seems to go beyond saying the video was choreographed. Most social media videos involve some performance. Instead, it suggests that viewers should never have linked the clip to a real birth experience. Yet neither the caption nor the later interview drew a clear line between performance and reality. Both allowed the staged scene to borrow emotional weight from the real event. A staged video is not necessarily fraudulent. A humorous recreation can refer to something that really happened. Couples may reenact a private moment because nobody filmed it, because they want better lighting, or because they do not want to publish the original footage. None of this proves a false pregnancy, a surrogate arrangement, or deception involving the children. Those allegations are much larger, and the clip cannot support them. The narrower question is whether the post left the clip's connection to the birth vague because that made it more interesting. The video alone cannot answer that. Still, it is too convenient to blame viewers for noticing the story built around it. The ambiguity came from the caption, the setting, and Meghan's later description of the moment. The apparent hospital setting also raised questions. Meghan and Harry seem to be dancing in a room presented as a medical environment. The original commentary says the apparent lack of masks was notable because the scene was associated with a period of COVID restrictions. Paula says she contacted the hospital and received information about the rules that would have applied. The supplied material, however, does not contain that correspondence, identify the person who responded, or establish when and where the footage was recorded. Those missing details limit what can be claimed. The setting prompted questions, and the caption encouraged viewers to connect the clip with a specific family milestone. A later explanation now asked them to separate the scene from the literal event. There is no documentation here showing that the hospital threatened legal action, forced a public clarification, or admitted that the room was a set. Those remain theories, not receipts. The strongest evidence is already public. Meghan posted a video that appeared connected to the anniversary of Lilibet's birth, added pregnancy-related context, and later referred to the dance during a discussion of authenticity. An unnamed source now says it was never intended as a genuine glimpse of that private event. The two accounts can be reconciled if authentic described Meghan's personality rather than the circumstances shown in the clip. That is possible, but a competent public relations team should have made the distinction from the start. The reported source offers a stranger defense as well. We are told that Meghan understands the expectations attached to her position as a senior or high-ranking royal. Sharing real footage from such an intimate moment would supposedly be vulgar and inappropriate for someone in that role. If the subject was too private and vulgar to show truthfully, why was it acceptable to recreate it, publish it worldwide, and then cite it as evidence of relatability? The word senior is another distraction. The source's description does not show that Meghan has returned to work as a royal, receives public funding, or holds a constitutional role. Her appearance on a royal website does not settle those questions either. The phrase tells us how the source wants her status presented. It does not prove a formal change. The wording deserves attention, but one anonymous description is not evidence of a secret return to royal life. As an image choice, though, senior royal is telling. It sounds formal, dignified, and restrained by rules. It puts distance between Meghan and the content drawing criticism. Viewers are being asked to see her less as the person who published the dance and more as a royal figure too refined to have shared the genuine scene. That may be an effort to restore seriousness, but the playful video is still part of the image she chose to present. Many viewers remain unconvinced by the word parody. Even if the entire clip was staged, Meghan still posted it. Someone still chose the setting. The caption still connected it to overdue pregnancies and the anniversary of Lilibet's birth. Calling the video comedy changes what may have happened behind the camera. It does not change the way it was presented to the audience. The original commentary compares the controversy with Harry's later argument that Meghan did not directly call the royal family racist during the fallout from the Oprah interview. The proposed parallel is one of plausible deniability. A speaker can create a strong implication without saying the precise sentence that would remove every escape route. If the implication later causes trouble, the defense can focus on the words that were never spoken. That comparison is an interpretation. It does not prove that the two episodes were coordinated in the same way. It does, however, describe the communication problem. A speaker can steer the audience toward a conclusion and later say, "I never stated that." The defense may be literally accurate, but it can still leave people feeling punished for following the path placed in front of them. Here, the sequence begins with a date pointing to Lilibet's birth. The caption describes attempts to start labor, and the medical looking room reinforces the connection. Meghan later presents the dance as authentic and relatable. After the backlash, a source says critics confused parody with reality. At no stage was the audience clearly told not to connect those elements. The comments show a real split. Some viewers say they always understood the dance as a joke because the performance was so exaggerated. That is the strongest counterargument and deserves consideration. Social media is full of reenactments, trends, and comic performances, and creators do not label every exaggerated video as staged. Others say the choreography was never the main problem. They point to the claim of authenticity around it, the caption, the timing on the birth anniversary, and Meghan's later reference to the dance. Some wonder why the original post did not include a satire label or even a short clarification. Others question why an explanation came only after people had spent time arguing over whether the scene was real. Those questions address material that can be examined, not rumors about medical history. The delay matters. A note published with the video could have guided viewers before headlines, supporters, and critics formed competing accounts. A much later clarification asks people to revise an impression that circulated without correction. This does not prove deliberate deception, but it weakens the complaint about online haters. If the interpretation was completely wrong, the creator had many chances to correct it plainly. Silence kept the ambiguity useful. The later defense treat that same ambiguity as proof of bad faith by the audience. Many viewers also feel they are being told they did not see what they saw. That reaction goes beyond embarrassment over a bad video. People are less willing to accept that a meaning once useful for publicity has become their mistake now that it is inconvenient. Whether they call the response gaslighting, backtracking, or damage control, the source's explanation does not settle the contradiction. It shifts responsibility for it. The timing allows several explanations, but the available material confirms none of them. The report could be an honest effort to correct a misunderstanding that grew beyond the original intent. It could be reputation management after the criticism, or part of an effort to present Meghan in a more controlled and royal manner. An unnamed source cannot prove any of those explanations. Some theories go much further. Viewers have speculated about pressure from the hospital. Others think the palace is directing a cleanup or preparing a return for Harry and Meghan. The original commentary strongly favors those possibilities, but the supplied evidence does not establish a hospital warning, instructions from the palace, or a planned royal return. Royal receipts cannot turn suspicion into documentation because a hotter theory makes a better story. The documented contradiction is already strong. The video appeared within the emotional context of a real birth story and later became an example of authenticity. Now the public is told that only online critics mistook it for a genuine glimpse. This does not prove a conspiracy. It shows how slippery messaging can claim the emotional benefit of reality while keeping parody available as an escape route. That approach damages credibility. Authenticity does not require revealing every private detail, but the meaning of what a public figure chooses to reveal should remain reasonably stable. When someone presents a personal moment, accepts the audience's emotional response, and changes the category of that moment under scrutiny, people start questioning the surrounding claims. One dance does not prove every rumor. Credibility accumulates, though, and each unresolved reversal makes the next explanation harder to trust. The verdict is limited but clear. The new report supports the claim that the baby mama dance was staged or recreated. It does not prove that Meghan faked a pregnancy, that a surrogate was involved, that the children are not biologically related to Harry and Meghan, or that a hospital forced the clarification. The video cannot establish any of those conclusions. It does show a serious conflict between the original framing and the later defense. The audience did not invent the date, the overdue pregnancy story, the medical-looking setting, or Meghan's appeal to authenticity. Those details were presented to them. If the clip was always meant as obvious comedy, the best time to say so was when it was published, before the ambiguity generated attention. So where does responsibility lie? With the audience that connected a staged video to the real event surrounding it, or with the person who built that connection and later denied intending it? Tell me where you draw the line. If you value royal commentary that brings the heat, but still checks the receipts, like this video, and subscribe to Royal Receipts, a dramatic claim may win the headline, but the timeline delivers the verdict.